Oh, don't you know? All that burning love.
What's up, guys? Welcome to this video on Elvis is the Man. So I want to share something with you from my Elvis studies this week, and it's one of the tactics the Colonel used to use on Elvis to find out if he was in shape for the movies. Now, this would usually take place, it happened quite often, but this particular incident, I assume, happened probably in the mid-60s when Elvis started to noticeably put on some weight, like around the clam bake or Paradise Hawaiian style. So Elvis, as you know, loved to eat, as we all do. And what he would do is, Elvis would do a movie and then have like 3 or 4 months off. And during those 3 or 4 months where he wouldn't have to be strict, he'd have a bunch of time to himself, he'd obviously go off his diet and, eat as much as he wanted. And he would eat a ton of stuff, just whatever he wanted. Southern food, He loved sweets and bacon, eggs, omelet, all that stuff, everything. Whatever he was craving during the movie, he'd indulge in off. So he'd do that for about 2-3 months. And so about 3 to 4 weeks before it was time for him to go to wardrobe for the new movie that he was about to make, and he'd have to go in and get his fittings, get his clothes together, he'd go on a crash diet. Now, Colonel a lot of times would check on Elvis throughout the years and make sure his weight's all right. And, Elvis would get very irritated with Colonel for doing this, although he wouldn't really say it to Colonel's face. He'd vent to the guys and say, what's 2 pounds? But, Colonel would be like, well, 2 pounds, the camera will pick up every 2 pounds, every 2 ounces. And that famous saying that camera will add 10 pounds. So Colonel wanted Elvis to be slim and trim. He'd say, hey, your fans will not like you if you gain weight, which, was disproven in the mid-late 70s. But this one particular story got my attention, and Elvis got very irritated with this, and this is actually what I want to share. So it was about the mid-60s, and Hal Wallace's daughter, Mina, M-I-N-N-A, I believe that's how you pronounce it. She came up to Elvis on the set of one of his movies as it was just wrapping up, and she would go up to him and, give him a hug and say, hey, how you doing? Give him some small talk. Elvis seemed to, greet her and have a nice warm talk with her. It was very cordial. Everything was good, So she put her arm around Elvis like you would put around, somebody's shoulder, but she just left it there. But she had it at his waist. And, they would talk and say, oh, I can't wait for you to do this next movie. It's going to be great, yada, yada, yada. Everything looked fine. But, she'd have her hand around his waist, and never let go. So everything seemed fine, and none of the Memphis Mafia realized, anything. They didn't suspect anything. So she goes to walk away. Immediately, Elvis's demeanor changes and starts cussing that lady, that Colonel Parker, he sent her over here just to check to see if I was fat, and, that old SOB, yada, yada, yada. Basically, what Colonel was doing was he was sending people to Elvis to check out his shape and to see if he was overweight or not. But this time, Elvis had Hal Wallace's sister come and do it. So this was, the time where Elvis really had it. He was getting so stressed about the movies and how bad they were that he was actually getting nosebleeds, and they were really hard to stop. Now, I really can't fault Colonel for doing this. I guess he was probably a little agitated. Also, because if Elvis is slipping, that means things aren't going to go so well for Colonel. And, while I'm on the point, during this time in the mid to maybe 66, 67, Elvis was talking to Colonel a little bit about, hey, I really want to go on the road again and start touring because the British invasion and all that were happening. And Elvis was just basically in the dust. Elvis did have a number 3 single with Crying in the Chapel in 1965, but that was just kind of a very quick thing. Colonel maybe didn't really listen to Elvis and Elvis didn't push hard enough, but there were some thoughts that, what if Elvis goes on the road again, and this was the mid-60s, and, he doesn't really cut it, and things don't go so well, and he doesn't pack out places, and Colonel's thinking, I'm gonna have to do extra promotion, extra work. The movies are going well. It's easy money. I'm secure. Elvis is secure. You know, let's just stick with this. Let's not rock the boat. And so there was some pressure on Colonel also because Elvis was his meal ticket. And you could understand it from the Colonel's point of view, but also Elvis, he was just caught in a rut. And so these events, this type of dissatisfaction led to that 68 comeback special, which we all love. And it's nice that we have the 3 DVDs out, you know, with both sit-down shows and the stand-up shows and, you know, the Nothingsville segments and If I Can Dream outtakes, all that stuff. But this, you know, was really starting to weigh on Elvis with the movies and, you know, this little issue, this weight issue. Because basically, you know, Elvis didn't have a lot of fun doing these things. He wasn't content with his career. He wasn't happy how it was going. So, you know, when he's off, he just wants to live it up and just satisfy himself however he could. And so that's it for today's video. I hope you liked this little insight into Elvis's life. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about this type of situation that Elvis was in and that he got himself in. Make sure you hit the like button. Helps it grow and expand the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check the description of this video to click the link to a few other channels I run. I hope you check them out as well. And we'll talk to you guys next time.